Hello, friends. In today's episode, we're going back to a very different time, a quieter time, a slower time, a time before Google, before YouTube, before walkthroughs, before forums, before anyone could search for answers. Back then, if you didn't know something in a game, you stayed not knowing, or you figured it out slowly, with patience, with trial and error, with friends sitting next to you, arguing, guessing, trying again, sometimes over hours, sometimes over days, sometimes over entire summers. This is the summer of 1988. Late afternoon sunlight drifts through a half-open window. The air is warm, still. Somewhere outside, a lawnmower hums faintly in the distance. Inside, a small room. Three friends sit cross-legged on the carpet. The TV is not big, not sharp, not bright. But to them, it's everything. A Nintendo Entertainment System rests beneath it, slightly worn, a little dusty. Controllers stretched across the floor, their cords slightly tangled from too many afternoons like this. And in Tommy's hands, there's a cartridge. Not gray, like all the others they've played. Not the familiar plastic they've grown used to. This one is different. Gold. It catches the light from the window, reflecting softly, almost glowing. Danny leans in, tilting his head slightly, trying to understand. Why is this one gold? Max shrugs, not taking his eyes off it. Because it's not like the others. There's a quiet respect in his voice, like he already knows. This game is going to be something else. Tommy doesn't say anything. He just turns the cartridge once more in his hands, feeling its weight, then gently slides it into the Nintendo, pushes it down. The small mechanical click feels important, almost like starting something bigger than they understand. He presses the power button, a soft electrical hum. The screen flickers once, then steadies, black for just a moment. Then, music begins. Soft, simple, but unlike anything they've heard before. No fast rhythm, no urgency, no flashing text telling them what to do. No press start countdown rushing them forward. Just a calm, open feeling. Like the game is waiting, not pushing, not guiding, just there. The three of them sit quietly. No one speaks, because something already feels different, not exciting in the usual way, not loud, not fast, but deeper, slower. Like this game isn't going to tell them anything, like they'll have to figure it out themselves. And without realizing it, that's exactly what pulls them in. Not knowing becomes the beginning, and for a moment, in that quiet room, with the golden cartridge still warm inside the console, it feels like anything could happen. And none of them yet understand just how much time they're about to spend trying to understand this world. The title screen fades, and in front of them, 3 empty save slots appear. Simple, no explanation, no description, just 3 names, waiting to be filled. Tommy pauses, his thumb hovering over the controller. Back then, this moment mattered, because once you started, this world would remember you. He presses the button, carefully entering a name, letter by letter. Not too long, because they've learned from other games. Sometimes long names don't fit. He settles on something simple. Link. Danny nods slightly. Yeah, that works. Max leans back, arms resting behind him. Let's see what this actually is. Tommy presses start. The screen fades again. No story. No scrolling text. No introduction explaining the world. Just silence for a brief second. And then, a small figure appears, standing alone in the middle of an open field. Green tunic, small shield, completely still. The screen doesn't move. Nothing rushes toward them. No enemies charging in. No flashing arrows telling them where to go. No voice, no message, just a character and a quiet world. Max frowns slightly, leaning forward. That's it. Tommy nudges the controller. Link moves. One step, then another. The screen scrolls, slowly revealing a new area. And that moment feels different from every other game they've played, because the world doesn't load all at once. It unfolds, one screen at a time, like pages in a book. Danny leans forward now, more focused. Which way are we supposed to go? Tommy doesn't answer, because he doesn't know. Max doesn't answer either, because there isn't an answer. Not yet. And that's the first thing this game teaches them. Without saying a single word, there is no right direction, no starting path, no safe route the game pushes you toward. Only choices: up, down, left, right, each one equally unknown. Tommy presses up. The screen shifts. Trees appear, forming uneven paths. Open spaces between them. Danny watches carefully. Feels like we're supposed to go somewhere important. Max shakes his head slightly. Or maybe everywhere is important. That idea lingers. Because unlike other games they've played, there's no timer, no score ticking upward, no sense of urgency. The game doesn't care if they stand still. And so, for a moment, they do. Just standing there, listening to the music loop gently in the background, watching nothing happen. And somehow, that feels intentional. Tommy moves again, this time to the right. The world shifts once more. More trees, different layout, subtle changes, but enough to feel like progress. Danny points slightly. Try going down after this. Tommy nods. He's not following instructions. He's following curiosity. And that becomes the real direction. Not where the game tells you to go, but where you feel like going. They begin to understand something, slowly, without saying it out loud. This isn't a game you complete in one sitting. It's a game you explore, a little at a time. A world that doesn't explain itself, because figuring it out is the whole point. And sitting there, on that carpet, with no guide, no hints, no way to search anything, that uncertainty doesn't feel frustrating. It feels wide open, like standing at the edge of something much bigger, with no idea how far it goes, and no reason to turn back. Tommy pauses. Link stands still again. The world is quiet, but this time, they notice something they didn't before. A small opening, just above them, hidden slightly between the edges of rock. Danny leans forward, squinting a little. Was that there before? Max tilts his head. I think so. We just didn't see it. That happens a lot in this game. Things are there. You just don't notice them until you slow down. Tommy presses up. Link moves toward the opening. The screen shifts. And suddenly, everything changes again. The colors dim slightly. The music softens. They're inside. A cave. No enemies. No movement. Just a single figure. An old man. Standing still. Waiting. The three of them instinctively lean closer to the screen. Because now, finally, something is about to be explained. Text appears. Slowly. It's dangerous to go alone. They read it silently. Then again, Danny smiles slightly. That sounds serious. Max nods. Yeah, like we're already doing something wrong. Tommy presses the button. The next line appears. Take this. And just like that, a sword appears beside the old man. No animation. No dramatic moment. Just placed there, quietly. Waiting. Tommy moves Link forward, touches the sword, and suddenly everything feels different. Because now they can fight. Danny says softly. Okay, now it starts. But even then, there's no tutorial, no instructions on how to use it, no explanation of timing, or range, or danger. Just a weapon, and the expectation that you'll figure it out. Tommy presses the attack button. Link swings. A short, quick motion. Not wide, not powerful. Careful. Max notices immediately. That's not a long reach. Danny adds. Yeah, you have to get close. Too close. That realization settles in quietly, because getting close means risk. Tommy turns Link, faces the old man again, swings once more. Nothing happens. The old man doesn't react. Max chuckles slightly. Probably shouldn't hit him. Tommy smiles. But there's something important in that moment. The game doesn't stop you. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't protect you from bad decisions. It simply lets you act. And learn. They step back toward the entrance. Danny says, So that's it. No more talking. Max shrugs. That's all we get. And somehow, that feels enough. Not because it explains everything, but because it gives just enough to begin. A warning and a tool. Nothing more. Tommy guides Link out of the cave, back into the sunlight. The music returns. The open world stretches out again. But now, it doesn't feel empty. It feels uncertain and slightly dangerous. Because now they understand something they didn't before. Every direction they choose is a decision, and every mistake is theirs to make. Danny leans back slightly. So, now what? Tommy looks at the screen, then moves Link forward, not because he knows where to go, but because now he has a reason to find out. Back outside, the light feels brighter, but the world doesn't feel as safe anymore, because now they understand something important. They're not alone out here. An enemy appears, small, round, moving slowly across the screen. Octorok. Tommy stops moving, watching it carefully. It doesn't rush. It wanders, almost casually. Then suddenly, it fires. A small rock shoots forward, fast, straight. Tommy flinches, moves too late. The rock hits Link. A small flash. A piece of the heart disappears. Danny reacts immediately. Oh, okay. That hurts. Max leans forward, eyes focused. Watch the timing. It stops before it shoots. They wait. The Octorok moves again. Pauses. And then another rock. This time, Tommy moves just before it fires. The rock passes beside him. That's the first lesson. Not speed. Timing. This game doesn't reward rushing. It rewards watching. Tommy steps closer, raises the shield instinctively. Another rock comes, and this time it deflects. The rock bounces away. Danny notices immediately. Wait, the shield blocks it. Max nods, but only from the front. They test it. Tommy turns slightly. The next rock hits from an angle. Damage again. Danny points. Yeah, has to be straight on. That becomes clear quickly. The shield isn't automatic protection. It's directional. And that means positioning matters. Tommy adjusts, faces the Octorok directly, waits, block, step forward, attack. The sword connects. The Octorok disappears. No dramatic effect. Just gone. A small drop appears. A rupee. Tommy picks it up. Max says quietly, "So enemies give stuff sometimes." Danny adds, "Not every time." They notice that too. Drops aren't guaranteed. Sometimes nothing appears. Which means fighting isn't just about clearing enemies. It's a decision. Risk versus reward. Tommy moves forward again. Another Octorok. This time, he doesn't rush. He waits. Watches the movement pattern. Left. Pause. Shoot. Right. Pause. Shoot. There's a rhythm to it. Not random. Predictable. Max says softly. They don't aim. They just shoot straight. That realization matters, because it means you don't dodge the enemy. You dodge the line. Tommy tests it. Moves slightly to the side before the pause. The shot misses completely. Cleaner. More controlled. He steps in. Attacks once. Then steps back immediately. Danny notices. Yeah, don't stay close too long. Because enemies don't get stunned for long. They reset quickly. And if you stay in range, you trade damage, which is never worth it. Another detail becomes clear. Sword range is short. Shorter than it feels like it should be. Which means spacing is everything. Tommy misses a swing, just slightly out of reach. The Octorok fires immediately after, hit again. Max nods. Yeah, you have to commit. Not too early, not too late, just close enough. That's the balance. Tommy slows down even more. Wait, block, step, attack, step back. The pattern becomes smoother, less panic, more control. And slowly, the game starts to make sense. Not because it explains itself, but because they're learning its rules. One small detail at a time. Danny leans back slightly. This isn't hard. Then pauses. It just punishes mistakes. Max smiles. Yeah, same thing. They all laugh quietly, because now they understand. This game isn't about reacting fast. It's about not making mistakes. And that's a very different kind of challenge. Tommy moves forward again. More enemies ahead. But this time, he doesn't hesitate. Not because he's confident, but because now he knows just enough to try again. They keep moving, screen by screen, slowly mapping the world in their heads. Not with paper, Not with guides, just memory. This screen had water. That one had 2 octoroks. Go left here, not right. The map doesn't exist yet, so they build one themselves, piece by piece. Then Danny says quietly, "Try bombing that wall." Tommy stops, looks at the screen. A flat stretch of rock. No cracks, no markings, nothing that suggests it would break. "We don't have bombs," Tommy says. Max leans forward. "Then we need to get some." That becomes the next objective, not because the game told them, but because they decided it mattered. They begin defeating enemies more carefully now, watching for drops. Sometimes a rupee appears, sometimes a heart, and sometimes nothing at all. Danny notices first. It's not every enemy. Max nods. Yeah, feels random, but it's not completely random. Even if they don't know it yet, some enemies have a higher chance to drop items. Some almost never do. And occasionally, after clearing multiple enemies in a row, a bomb appears. Tommy picks one up. The small icon flashes briefly. A quiet confirmation. Danny leans closer. "Okay, now try the wall." They walk back. The same screen. The same blank wall. Tommy places a bomb. Right in the center. They step back. Wait! The explosion happens. A soft sound. A flash. And then, nothing. The wall remains unchanged. Max doesn't react immediately. Just watches. Try another spot. Tommy places another bomb, slightly to the left this time. Again, they wait. Explosion. Nothing. Danny frowns slightly. "I heard some walls break." Tommy nods. "Yeah, but how do you know which ones?" That's the question. Because unlike later games, there are no visual hints, no cracks, no discoloration, nothing obvious. The only clue is memory, or rumor, or pure guesswork. They try again, this time closer to the edge. Bomb placed. Step back. Wait. Explosion. And suddenly, the wall changes. A small opening appears. A doorway. Hidden until that exact moment. Danny leans forward immediately. There. Max nods slowly. "Okay, so it's not random." And he's right. Even if they can't fully explain it yet, bombable walls follow rules. Always placed on specific tiles. Always aligned to a grid they can't see, but can feel. Over time, Tommy moves closer, examining the doorway. There's no sound cue before the bomb. No feedback when you're close. Only success. Or failure. And that's what makes it different. Every attempt costs something. A bomb. A chance. And most of the time, it gives you nothing back, Danny says quietly. So you just have to remember where it worked. Max adds, and where it didn't. That becomes the real system. Not the game's system, but theirs. Memory, trial, discussion, sometimes disagreement. Tommy steps inside the hidden doorway. A small room. A merchant appears, selling bombs for rupees. Danny smiles. "Oh, so that's how you get more." Max nods. "Yeah, you don't just wait for drops." Another layer revealed. Bombs aren't just random rewards. They're resources, something you manage, something you spend carefully, because now they understand. Every bomb matters, every wall might hide something, and there's no way to check without trying. Back outside, the world feels different again, not bigger, but deeper, because now every blank wall might not be blank at all, and that changes how they see everything. Tommy looks at another rock surface, pauses, then keeps walking, not because it isn't important, but because they don't have enough bombs. And that is another lesson entirely. Eventually, without planning to, they find it. A strange structure, hidden in plain sight. A tree with a dark opening. Tommy stops moving. Was that always there? Danny leans forward. I think we just walked past it before. Max nods slowly. Yeah, this game doesn't show you things twice. There's no marker, no sign, no message saying dungeon here. Just an entrance, waiting. Tommy presses up. Link steps inside, and immediately, everything changes. The music shifts, lower, more contained. The open world disappears, replaced by something structured. Rooms, each one locked to the screen. No scrolling now, no continuous movement, just boundaries. Defined spaces. Danny notices first. Okay, this is different. Max looks around. Yeah, this feels like a maze. And it is. Even if they don't know how much yet. Each room, connected in a hidden grid, not random, carefully arranged, but without a map. It feels confusing. Tommy steps forward. The doors close behind him. A sharp sound. Danny reacts instantly. Wait, we're locked in. Enemies appear. Stalfos. Skeletons. Moving slowly. Not aggressive, but deliberate. Tommy moves forward. Swings. Misses. The spacing feels different here. More controlled. Less room to move. Max watches closely. They move in straight lines. Danny adds, yeah, not like outside. That's the difference. Overworld enemies drift. Dungeon enemies follow patterns. Simpler, but more precise. Tommy adjusts, steps closer, attacks again. Hit. The Stalfos disappears. Another moves forward. Same pattern, same speed. Tommy times it better now. Wait, step, attack. Clean, controlled. Then suddenly, a Keese appears. A bat, moving unpredictably. Sharp angles. No pattern. Danny leans forward. That one's different. Tommy swings. Misses completely. The keys changes direction instantly. Erratic. Unstable. Max says quietly, don't chase it. Wait for it. That becomes clear quickly. Some enemies reward pattern recognition. Others punish it. Tommy waits. The keys moves again. Closer this time. Attack. Hit. Gone. The room goes quiet. And then, a small click. The doors open. Danny exhales softly. So we have to clear the room. Max nods. Yeah, doors don't open until everything's gone. Another rule learned. Not explained, but understood. Tommy moves into the next room. Another layout. Different enemies. But the same logic applies. Clear the room. Unlock the path. They continue. room by room, slowly building understanding. Then they find something new, a key, lying alone. Tommy picks it up. Danny immediately asks, "Do we use that now?" Max hesitates. Or save it? That question matters, because keys are limited. At least, they feel limited. There's no counter telling them how many they'll find. No guarantee of more, just a small number, and locked doors ahead. Tommy reaches one, stops. The door is closed, different from the others. Not sealed by enemies, but locked. Danny says quietly, "Try it." Tommy pauses, then presses forward. The key is used. The door opens. Gone. Consumed. Max leans back slightly. Okay, so it's one-time use. That changes everything. Now every key is a decision, not just progression, but risk. Because what if they chose the wrong door? What if there was a better path? They don't know. And there's no way to know. So they move forward anyway, carefully, not rushing, not guessing blindly, but thinking, trying to remember which rooms felt important, which paths seemed right. And slowly, without realizing it, they stop playing like beginners and start playing like explorers. They move deeper, room by room. The dungeon begins to feel familiar, not because they understand it, but because they've started recognizing patterns, enemies, doors, layout. Still confusing, but no longer completely unknown. Then they reach another door. Different again. Locked. Tommy stops. He doesn't press forward this time. Danny notices immediately. "What? You're not using it." Tommy shakes his head slightly. "Not yet." Max leans forward. "Yeah, we should think first." That's new. Earlier, they would have just opened it. No hesitation. But now, they've learned something important. Keys don't come back. Once used, they're gone. And the dungeon doesn't tell you if that was the right choice. Tommy steps away from the door. They look around the room again. Another exit to the left. Unlocked. Danny points. "Try that one first." Tommy nods. Moves left. The next room opens. Enemies appear again. But this time, something feels slightly off. They defeat everything. Wait. The doors don't open. Danny frowns. Did we miss something? Tommy walks around. Checks the walls. Nothing. Max says quietly, "Maybe not all rooms are the same." That's another hidden rule. Some rooms require more than just defeating enemies. Some have triggers, hidden conditions. But right now, they don't know what those are. So they leave, backtracking, returning to the locked door. Tommy stands still again. This time, he uses the key. The door opens. And for a moment, there's a small sense of relief. Like maybe this was the right choice. Inside, the room feels different. More enemies. Slightly harder patterns. Danny says softly, "Yeah, this feels important." They clear it carefully. Not rushing, not wasting movement, because mistakes now cost more, less health, fewer chances. Then, an item appears. The map. Tommy picks it up. Danny leans forward. Finally, for the first time, they can see something. A layout. A rough shape of the dungeon. Rooms connected. Spaces filled in. But even then, it doesn't solve everything. Max studies it. Okay, but it doesn't show where we are. And he's right. The map shows structure, but not position, not direction, not what's inside each room, just possibility. Tommy opens it again, trying to match memory to shape. This room should be here, I think. Danny nods. Yeah, maybe. But they're guessing. Still guessing. The map helps, but it doesn't guide. And that's the difference. They move forward again. More rooms, more enemies, more decisions. Then another item appears, the compass. Tommy picks it up. Max watches closely. What does that do? Danny shrugs. No idea. They check. A small blinking point appears on the map. Max leans in. That must be something important. And it is. But they don't fully understand it yet. Not boss. Not goal. Just something worth finding. And that uncertainty stays. Because even with tools, even with progress, nothing is fully explained. Tommy pauses again, looking at the map, then at the doors around them. Each one still a choice. Each one still unknown. Danny says quietly, "We might be going the wrong way." Max replies, "Or the long way." Tommy smiles slightly, then moves forward. Because in this game, there isn't always a right path. Only the path you choose, and whether you can survive it. They move forward, slower now, more careful with every step, because something feels different. The rooms have changed, wider, more open, less clutter. Danny notices it first. This feels like something's coming. Max nods quietly. Yeah, too empty. Tommy walks to the next door, pauses, then steps through. The screen locks. The music shifts, lower, heavier. And there, at the top of the room, it appears Aqua Mentis, a dragon, still, watching, not moving toward them, just waiting. Danny whispers, "Don't rush it." Tommy doesn't move immediately. That instinct, to wait, is something they've learned, not from the game, but from everything leading up to this moment. Aqua Mentis opens its mouth, and suddenly, 3 fireballs spread outward, not straight, not random, a pattern. 1 forward, 2 angled, covering space. Tommy steps back. The fire passes in front of him, barely missing. Max leans in. It spreads. You can't just stand in front. Danny adds, "Stay to the side." That becomes clear quickly. Standing directly in front is dangerous. Too much coverage. Too little time to react. Tommy shifts position, moves slightly to the left. Waits again. Another attack. 3 fireballs. This time, he sees it earlier. Steps just enough. Avoids all 3. Cleaner. More controlled. Then he notices something else. Aqua Mentis doesn't chase. Doesn't move forward. It holds position. That matters. Because now, this isn't about survival. It's about positioning. Tommy steps forward carefully, close enough to strike. Swings, hit, then immediately steps back. Danny says softly, "Don't stay there." Because the boss doesn't stop attacking. There's no long pause, no safe window that lasts, only brief openings. Tommy watches again. Wait. Attack pattern. Step in. Strike. Step out. Repeat. Then something unexpected happens. As Tommy keeps his distance, Link fires a beam from the sword, a straight line of light, hitting the dragon from afar. Danny reacts instantly. Wait, you can shoot. Max leans forward. Only when you're full health. They realize it together. Because the moment Link takes damage, the beam disappears. Gone. No explanation. Just another rule. Hidden. Tommy adjusts again. Now more careful than ever. Because full health means range, and range means safety. He keeps his distance, fires the beam, waits, dodges, fires again, slower. More patient. Danny nods quietly. That's way safer. Max adds, but harder to keep. Because one mistake, one missed dodge, and that advantage disappears. Tommy stays focused, watching the rhythm, not reacting late, not rushing early, just staying in control. The dragon opens its mouth again. Fire spreads. Tommy moves. Barely. Enough. Then steps forward. Strike. Again. And then the dragon disappears. No explosion. No dramatic ending. Just gone. Silence fills the room. For a brief moment, no one speaks. Then, a heart container appears, floating quietly. Danny exhales. There it is. Tommy picks it up. The health increases. Permanent. Max leans back slowly. Okay, that's real progress. Not just surviving. Not just exploring. But understanding. Because this fight wasn't about speed or reflex. It was about learning patterns, managing distance, choosing when to act, and knowing when not to. Tommy stands still for a moment, looking at the empty room, then turns toward the exit, because now the world outside is going to feel different again. Back outside, the light feels the same. The trees haven't moved. The paths are still quiet, but something has changed. Not the world. Them. Tommy takes a few steps forward, then stops. Not because he has to, but because now he's thinking differently. Danny stretches slightly. So, where's level 2? Max doesn't answer right away, because this is where things get unclear. There's no marker, no message after the boss, no hint telling them what to do next. Just the same open world. Waiting again. Max finally says, I think it's near water. Danny looks at him. You think, or you know. Max shrugs. Someone said that at school. That's how information worked back then. Not guides, not confirmed facts, just things people said. Things that sounded right. Sometimes true, sometimes completely wrong. Tommy nods slowly. Water makes sense. And it does. But not because the game tells them, because it feels logical. They start moving, not randomly now, but with a loose idea, looking for water, looking for anything that feels different. The overworld begins to reveal patterns, not obvious ones, subtle ones, rivers cutting across paths, dead ends, hidden spaces between trees. Max notices something. Some screens loop back. Danny nods. Yeah, it's not just a straight map. That's another realization. The world isn't linear. It folds, connects in ways that aren't obvious. Without a map, it's easy to get lost. But now, they're starting to remember. This is the screen with the two octoroks. Go down here, then left. Don't go up. That leads nowhere. Memory becomes navigation. Not perfect, but enough. Tommy reaches the coastline. Water stretches across the screen. Still, endless. Danny leans forward. Maybe here. Tommy places a bomb near the edge. They wait. Explosion. Nothing. Max says quietly, "Try another spot." Tommy does. Another bomb. Another attempt. Still nothing. Danny frowns. Maybe it's not bombs this time. That thought lingers, because not everything in this game works the same way. Some secrets require bombs. Others require something else entirely. But right now, they don't have those tools, and they don't know what they're missing. Tommy steps back from the water, doesn't try again. Not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't feel right. And that becomes part of the game, too. Knowing when to stop. Knowing when to leave something unsolved. Max says quietly, "Maybe we come back later." Danny nods. "Yeah, after we find something else." That idea settles in. Progress isn't always forward. Sometimes it's remembering where to return. Tommy turns away from the coastline, moves back into the trees. The same world, but now filled with possibilities. Every screen might hide something. Every path might lead somewhere important. And every rumor might be true or completely wrong. But without a way to check, without a way to search, they have no choice but to try anyway. And slowly, that uncertainty stops feeling confusing and starts feeling like the point. Because the game isn't just about finding the next dungeon, it's about learning how to look for it. They head back toward the water, not because they're certain, but because it still feels unfinished. That quiet feeling that something is there, just not yet. Tommy walks to the same stretch of coastline, the same empty edge, the same still water. Danny leans forward again. "Try a different spot this time." Tommy nods, moves a little further down, places a bomb, steps back, waits. Explosion. Nothing. The wall remains unchanged. Max watches carefully. "Maybe it's not every wall." Danny responds, "Yeah, but how do you tell which one?" That's the problem. Because unlike enemies, unlike dungeons, there's no pattern they can clearly see. Not yet. Tommy tries again. Another bomb. Another position. Another attempt. Still nothing. Their bomb count drops. Quietly. Without warning. Until there are none left. Danny exhales. That's it. We're out. Tommy steps back from the wall. Not frustrated. Just thinking. Because now they've learned something. Bombs aren't infinite. And guessing blindly has a cost. Max says quietly, "Maybe we're doing it wrong." Danny looks at the screen. "Or maybe this isn't the place." That idea settles in slowly, because up to this point, they've started believing something simple. Bomb walls. Find secrets. But now, that rule doesn't always work. And that's the next layer of the game. Not every secret follows the same logic. Some walls break, some don't, and some places aren't meant to open with bombs at all. But they don't know that yet. Not fully. Tommy turns away from the coastline again. This time, more certain. Not because he's solved it, but because he understands something else. He doesn't have what he needs. And that realization is quiet, but important. Danny says softly, "So we just leave it." Max nods. For now. That phrase becomes part of the experience. For now. Not failure, not giving up, just postponing. Because in this world, you're not expected to solve everything immediately. You're expected to remember. Tommy walks back through the trees, past screens they've already seen, past enemies they've already learned. But now, each place feels slightly different because they're not just seeing what's there. They're thinking about what could be there later. A bush that looks out of place. A wall that feels too empty. A corner that doesn't quite make sense. Danny points at one spot. "Maybe that one." Tommy stops, looks at it, then keeps walking. Because now, they don't have bombs, and trying without them isn't an option. That restraint is new. Earlier, they would have tried anyway. Now, they're learning to wait. Max says quietly, "This game doesn't want you to do everything right away." Danny nods. "Yeah, it kind of makes you come back." And that's exactly it. The world isn't meant to be cleared in one pass. It unfolds over time, as you gain items, as you learn patterns, as you remember places that didn't make sense before. Tommy pauses for a moment, looks back in the direction of the water, then turns away again. Because now, he understands something he didn't at the start. Not every mystery is meant to be solved today. And somehow, that makes the world feel even bigger. Days later, not all at once, not in a single session, but slowly, across afternoons, between conversations at school, fragments of ideas begin to connect. Someone said it's near the forest. No, I heard it's hidden in a wall. Maybe you need bombs again. Nothing confirmed, nothing reliable, just pieces. Tommy moves through the overworld again, more confidently now. Not because he knows everything, but because the world feels familiar, less like a mystery, more like a place he's been before. He walks past screens that once felt confusing, now recognized instantly. This is the one with the river bend. That path loops back. Don't go up there. Dead end. Memory has turned into navigation. Danny watches closely. "You're not guessing anymore." Tommy shrugs slightly. "Still guessing, just less." Max smiles. "Better guesses." They move toward a rocky area, not far from where they've been before. But this time, Tommy slows down, because something feels slightly different. A wall. Plain. Just like the others, but positioned in a way that catches his attention. Danny leans forward. "That one. Try that one." Tommy places a bomb. Carefully, not rushed. They step back. Wait. Explosion. The wall opens. A doorway appears. Danny reacts immediately. "There, that's it." Max nods slowly. "Yeah, that feels right." Tommy steps inside, and once again, the world shifts. Dungeon. Level 2. But this time, it feels different from the start. Not because the dungeon is easier, but because they are more prepared, more aware. The rooms close in again. Enemies appear, but something changes immediately. Ropes, snake-like creatures. Still, then suddenly, they charge. Fast, direct, no warning. Tommy reacts late. Hit. Danny leans forward. Okay, those are faster. Max watches carefully. They don't wander. They lock on. That's the difference. These enemies don't drift. They choose a direction. Then commit. Tommy adjusts, keeps distance, waits for the charge, steps to the side. Attack. Hit. Cleaner. More controlled. Another rope moves. Same pattern. Predictable. But only if you're ready. Danny nods. Yeah, once they move, that's it. Tommy starts to understand. This isn't about reacting after they move. It's about anticipating before they do. He waits, watches, sees the moment just before the charge, steps early, avoids it completely. Max smiles slightly. Yeah, you're getting it. They continue through the rooms. More enemies. Harder combinations. Less space to move. But Tommy doesn't panic anymore. He doesn't rush. He doesn't swing wildly. He waits, chooses his movement, controls the fight, and slowly, without anyone saying it out loud, they realize something. They're not just surviving anymore. They're learning how the game works, not through instructions, not through guides, but through experience, through mistakes, through memory. Danny leans back slightly. This one's harder. Max nods. Yeah, but we're better now. Tommy doesn't respond. He just moves forward, into the next room, because now he doesn't need to be told what to do. He just needs to see and decide. By the end of the week, they haven't finished the game. Not even close. There are still places they don't understand. Still walls that don't open. Still paths that lead nowhere. Still questions without answers. But something has changed. Not in the game. In them. Tommy sits back slightly, the controller resting loosely in his hands, not gripping it tightly like before, not reacting to every movement, just holding it. Comfortably, Danny stretches. You think we're far? Max shakes his head. Not even a little. They all smile quietly, because they know it's true. There's more out there, more dungeons, more secrets, more things they haven't even imagined yet. But somehow, that doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels exciting, because this isn't a game you finish quickly. It's a game you live with, over days, over conversations, over quiet afternoons like this one. At school, the discussion continues. Not organized, not accurate, but always interesting. Try pushing rocks. Burn the trees. I heard that works. There's a sword that shoots across the screen. Don't go to the graveyard at night. Some of it is true. Some of it isn't. But no one really knows which is which. And that's part of it. Because without a way to check, every idea matters. Every suggestion is worth trying. Tommy listens. Doesn't argue. Doesn't correct anyone. Because he knows something now. Even the wrong ideas sometimes lead to the right place. Back in the room, The sun is lower now, the light softer, the shadows longer across the carpet. The same room, the same TV, the same game, but it doesn't feel the same because now they're not just playing it, they're understanding it. A little more each time. Tommy turns the console off. The screen fades to black. The quiet hum disappears. The room becomes still again. For a moment, no one moves. Danny speaks first. "We'll get further next time." Max nods. "Yeah, we will." Not confident, not certain, but patient, because they've learned something more important than where to go. They've learned how to keep going, without answers, without direction, just curiosity and time. And that's what made it different. Before the internet, before walkthroughs, before solutions were always one search away, games like this didn't give you everything. They asked something from you: attention, patience, memory, and sometimes a little bit of belief that what you were doing, even if it felt uncertain, was still progress. Tommy stands up slowly, the controller placed gently beside the console, the golden cartridge still inside, waiting, not finished, not solved, just paused, because this world was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to stay with you. Across days, across conversations, across moments when you weren't even playing. And maybe that's why it felt so big, because every discovery felt like it belonged to you. Not something you looked up, not something you were told, but something you found on your own or together in a quiet room on a warm afternoon in the summer of 1988.